And welcome back to coverage here of the Tencent LPL Summer. Week 3, Day 3 heroes are on the last day of play. Our second game here coming up between EPHK, Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong on the left there versus LMQ on the right. My name is Patient Champ. I'm joined by Papa Smithy. Papa, a great opening game to kick things off. And my only question for you is, do you think we're going to see more Shyvana?
It's an interesting question, Patient. I don't know, because it's one of those things where, because it's the new patch and the champion's just been enabled on the tourney row, traditionally it usually takes a month for champion reworks to get enabled after the patch goes in. So I imagine Shyvana's just a new release. I don't even know if anyone's up to speed on it, because if you check the changes, you can see, yep, more damage coming out from a champion, but you don't see a CC effect or something that innately makes her a better ganking jungler. So, look, she has her strengths. She's pretty much the same champion, except maybe a bit more super-tuned. Have everyone practiced it, or is it just a Young Glory special? We're not sure.
No, we've only seen it twice here, but that's pretty good for week 3 here. Of course, the draft not indicating that we are going to see that banned out. That will be a little soon, but Jarvan, Kassadin, and Orianna, the bans there for EP, and Elise, Twisted Fate, and Zed there for LMQ, as Thresh is going to be the first pickup here for Energy Pacemaker.
And being on the blue side here against one of the bottom 3 teams, Energy Pacemaker, 0-8 coming into this game, they're just desperate for a win pastry time. And it'll be interesting to see if they go for a standard comp, which of course Thresh doesn't tell us much about that, or whether they try something special against LMQ.
Well, we've got Rise and Lee Sin, the pickups there for LMQ. Saw a little bit of Draven, then some Teemo, and now back to Draven here. But Ahri Draven would be very, very aggressive here for EPHK. I mean, I mentioned in the last game, actually, there, our first one there, YG versus Royal, to open things up. Saw the aggressive kind of Thresh plus Tristana. Now this is even more aggressive here for a dual lane. We've got Thresh and Draven is actually locked in there as well.
And the infographic telling us that the League of Draven has not quite penetrated China yet. 0% win rate for Draven so far this series. We are on 3.9, so of course Adoration is in full effect. I mean, Draven's such an interesting champion. I'd love to see how it goes this game, but I just haven't seen many people have success with it ever since the passive change.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, everyone, I guess all the Draven players complain, but it was a little too good, so glad they tweaked that one out there. But, I mean, we'll see your EPHK, as you said, desperate for a win here so far, 3 weeks into the LPL, or I guess we're about to finish week 3 here, and still no luck here for them in this particular split, so we'll see if they can get it done here. Going to go with maybe Shen and Evelyn as their next few picks as well. We've got Nami and Tristana there, picked up by LMQ, so kind of interesting to see 2 for 2 on Tristana now in games. Don't normally see her too often, but we're seeing her once again here for our second game, and just EPHK gonna see what they want with these last few picks. Is going to be Evelyn Shen there, so some pretty funky synergy there with that one. But what do you think of Trista again? And it's with a different support this time. We're going to have Nami here for LMQ.
I mean, Tristana against Draven in 3.8 and behind sounds like a terrible matchup, of course, given the complete lane dominance that Draven had previous to that. Now with the change, I mean, Draven still does a lot of damage in trades, but it isn't quite unsustainable to take other champions. And I mean, Tristana's very strong. I mean, we saw Uzi struggle in the previous game, just couldn't really get going. But if she ever gets ahead, I mean, her hyper late game comes quicker. And you see now the Kennen lock-in, you see a strong front line for Tristana. She's a super strong pick on her own, but she doesn't really make or break a comp unless the game gets really late.
Yeah, we'll see if LMQ can make it happen here. Of course, there's always the possibility that you get ahead nice and early as Triss with your spells and kind of can go from there, but we'll see what happens here. Just quickly checking through. No, we actually did have Kayn with a second Ignite there, but that one's going to go, I believe, on Thresh is going to have that one. No, going for the traditional Barrier Exhaust here for their particular dual lane, and Ignite there on the other side for Nami, which does make sense with Tristana. As I said, you do have some early kill potential there with those spells. But I was excited. I thought we were going to have double Ignite.
I like the Ignite pickup from Nami just because if it does end up being a 2v2 lane with Draven's aggression, and Draven Thresh is both are very aggressive champions, they might not dissuade them from a turret dive or change a really key early trade. And getting ahead of Draven as Tristana is a massive, massive win in lane. So I do like Ignite being picked up there just from a purely laning phase.
Yep, so a little bit more aggression there available to LMQ there for that one. We'll see what they want to do here. EPHK actually grouped up at their red buff, right now. They're, of course, on the blue side, but they're at their red buff right now. 4 of them just hanging out. Thresh over towards the other side there, towards the actual blue buff. Just checking things out. They threw down a ward there. As you can see, it's just doing a mini map. It's just behind the red buff there for LMQ. But other than that, just very... This is a big metagame call, it feels like, almost for EPHK. They must know that LMQ like to invade through here, because there's no real reason to all be sitting here unless you know something that we certainly don't.
And Thresh revealing himself and not having any help going to ward probably is setting off alarm bells for LMQ. Even if they were confident for an invade, it's very strange for there not to be any person assisting with those early wards just because of the pick potential.
Yeah, I like what Booping's doing here as well, just kind of down towards the left-hand side of your screen there. Just kind of hanging out in the... Because if they come around the other side, of course, if they're somehow snuck in through and they, they're sitting in the top bush just above red, for example, then, he can spot them coming on the other side and they can get it done that way. But no, EPHK just very defensively setting up around their red. Looks like red will be started here as well for Evelyn. Yep, I think she's hanging out near there as well. Going to pick that one up there. And yeah, that's kind of interesting. But I mean, Thresh, knew the ward he wanted to put down, and I guess EPHK going to go from there.
It's looking like we will have this 2v2 heads-up matchup, which just would have been madness in 3.8 just because of Draven's lane dominance. You would never see a Draven Thresh versus Tristana Nami lane matchup in competitive. I'm not even convinced with the nurse that Tristana Nami can stand up in that lane, but it'll be interesting to see.
It will be indeed. So they're going to move there. We're going to have everything pretty much as normal here. Two ninjas up in the top lane there. Dreams on Cannon going to be up against Domhox there on Shen. In the mid here, Xiao Wei Zhao on Rise up against the Super Cat there on Ari, which is very fitting given that he's playing the Fox Lady. And of course down the bottom, as you said, very volatile here in the bottom lane, I think, especially with the aggressive Draven Thresh. But even Tristana and Nami, if you get those bubbles right as well, can get a lot of damage done early on. So there's potential for some massive, massive all-ins here down in the bottom lane. But I think especially Tristana would like it to go nice and smoothly there, just farming it up.
It just feels like I have to lane matchup strengths in terms of 2v2 lanes, just because it used to be all Draven all the time. Now, my natural instinct says that Tristana and Nami are going to super struggle in this lane, but I need to see it in effect in a high-level competitive game like this to substantiate that claim.
Yeah, I do like, as always on Trist, you get the kind of early advantage of being able to push with explosive shots, so that's nice there. Draven and Thresh not really great at setting up last hits under turret, certainly not bad. These players will have the experience to get that done, but I mean, that is one of the... It's an interesting double-edged sword for Tristana. You're always going to push your lane, more or less, because you're going to be CSing and getting those explosions, and if you can take advantage of that, great. If you can't, well, probably not good for you, because then you're auto-pushing a lane that you don't want to. But in this case, I think it's going to be fine here for LMQ, and you can see early on down here in the bottom that EPHK just struggling back towards their turret a little bit.
And one of the reasons why I talk about that 2v2 matchup being so far in the favor of Draven Thresh isn't just the damage and CC potential, it's that if Draven Thresh ever got ahead and could hold the wave, Tristana has no answer to that because she has to push back. She can't really respond very well against the wave being held against her because she naturally pushes. So that's why you're just afraid that if ever the early trade goes to Draven, the laning phase could just be a wash for Tristana Nami. So that's why it's super, super risky. But again, this is 3.9 Draven. A whole new world of possibilities in terms of his laning phase have opened up.
Yeah, not quite the same Draven here. Things seem to be going smoothly there in the bottom lane. Over in our other ones, Cannon up, kind of doing what you expect early on in the lane. Got a slight advantage there up against Shen. Dreams playing back there, just making sure he doesn't get ganked because he does not have a ward up there in the top lane. Doesn't want to be too risky there. And in the mid, looks like Rise actually off to a nice start. I actually was watching a little there. Xiao Wei Xiao starting off with that Sapphire Crystal. Being very aggressive with his overloads early on at level 1 and had got a slight advantage there, forcing Nami back, who's returned to lane now with her Flask plus a Doran's Ring now as well.
And Rise versus Ari used to be a matchup way in the advantage of Rise, many patches ago. I mean, you can see that, any sort of aggressive trades with the Mana Crystal start will probably be in Xiao Wei Zhao's advantage early. I think it's at level 6 when Ari opens up a bit of kill potential on the kind of fairly immobile Rise, especially if he doesn't go for that catalyst first.
Groovy little gank in there as well. Eve riding down the bottom in there on the
double
lane.
Bubble.
It would have been sweet, but yes, the double bubble. They're doing very, very nice work there for Nami. So completely shutting that one off there. And even the hook that was coming in, Avenger managed to rocket jump out of the way in there as well. So everything is okay for now. Here is LMQ will continue here. We've had 5 minutes of play or so. 5 minutes 20 actually as we tick through, and no kills yet, but there's still plenty of time here. As we said, Evelyn needs to kind of get going here, so LP is probably going to be farming as much as they can here. Ebb and Flow coming out there down the bottom lane as we see the pokes back and forth there. That very powerful Tidecaller's Blessing. Getting that trade just slightly there to Avenger is up in the top lane there. Dreams actually get taunted. That's very bad news. That's lots of minions there for that one. Dreams forced to pop his potion in there, and Domhox with a very nicely placed taunt there to win that trade in top lane.
Down bottom, I mean, the CS advantage is with Tristana, which is surprising for early in this game. I mean, EPHK, they are bottom of the table, so there may be a skill disparity between these ADKs we don't know as the hook comes out.
Lee Sin coming through as well. Bad news there for Draven. His first blood's going to go to Nami. Very, very nicely timed there for No Name. You saw the hook there from Tash. Booping didn't want to quite move in there. I believe missed his flay in there as well, but it was all for naught regardless as they tried to go in for some aggression, and No Name was ready and waiting there on Lee Sin. So very, very nicely played there for that one. See in the top lane, Evelyn poking her head up in there as well. In fact, looking for a dive now for LMQ down towards the bottom lane. No Name He wants to go in there. He's zoning that Thresh out of the way. He's very low on health. They're going to look for the bubble. The kick comes in there as well. And no good choices there for EPHK. That was a very nicely engineered gank by LMQ.
And Noname have been completely unsighted for the first 5 minutes, but sometimes it all lines up. The first time he even pressured the lane, beautiful hook came out, but the Nami bubble was too strong and Lee Sin picked up the kill.
Yeah, and one of those nice things about Nami, I mean, that bubble is very, very strong. It's probably the highlight of her kit, certainly the bread and butter. And, you know, it's a little wonky to land. Obviously, they worked it a little, so it was slightly easier. And turns out when you can land a pretty sweet potential AoE stun, that it works out pretty nicely for you for the most part. And as long as you land it, it looks really, really good. And both times there, Nami making, the first blood knot happen, and then, of course, enabling the first one there as well. And then just a very, very nice dive down the bottom. I mean, poor Thresh, you could see Lee Sin behind him, the other two champions in front of him, bubble in the front, kick in the back, nowhere for him to run.
Absolutely not happy days for Thresh at all, being left 1v3 in the bottom lane.
And it gets dived there and pays for it. They're 2-0 up now for LMQ early on in this game. We're approaching 7.5 minutes here as we tick just up towards that mark, excuse me. Kennen here in the top. Still going to harass this Shen. Shen probably not having fun here until he gets a couple more items. You can see a bit of a CS discrepancy there as Kennen's about 15 ahead. But once he gets going, once he gets some items, he'll just be able to sit in the top lane and farm.
Absolutely. Once he gets the Giant's Belt, on the way to either Sunfire Cape or whatever Giant's Belt item he ends up with, he's just so tanky that it takes Kennen, a long, long time to whittle him down. And I guess the only pressure Kennen will have in the lane at that point is trying to, flash or use the Lightning Rush to be able to stop Stand United from completing.
Right now, though, Dream's off to a good start there in the top lane. Noname here going to pick up his red buff now as well for the second go around, so potentially look to pressure up towards the top lanes. He kicks himself off towards his golems. Evelyn been notably absent on the map here for EPHK, but Lao P going to approach at level 6, probably there quite soon, and that will make things quite a bit easier. And Blue buff going to get donated over here as well. I think Evelyn, if she's feeling happy, will be able to hit 6 now, but not quite as Ari picks that one up. I guess one more camp's probably what we're up to for that one, and then we'll see if Evelyn can do exactly what Lee Sin did there and look to get some pressure on these lanes.
I'd expect the Dragon pressure to come out soon, just because, Tristana and Nami have the item advantage. You see, a Bilgewater Cutlass compared to the double Dorans on Draven here has a huge advantage for Avenger this early. With the Draven and Thresh push the turret, I would have expected Dragon pressure, but it looks like up top we might have a very, very interesting game.
A little sneakiness coming out here from Noname. He's hanging out in the bush there, just waiting for something to happen. If you can safeguard onto a cannon who's got his ult ticking away, you can usually land the rest of it, kick somebody back there. Of course, Noname is level 6 now, so is Lao P, by the way, so there's potential there. I have a feeling Dreams wants to push this out and get the dive going. There is no way Shen is going aggressive on this cannon unless some jungler pressure comes, so maybe Noname's predicting a gank here. That Evelyn maybe figures that level 6 has been completed now at this point for Eve, unfortunately. Jungler's a little slowly, so it's taken quite a while to get there, but he's being patient. At least he's still up in the top lane, as you can see on the minimap. We'll see if he wants to go in here or not at all.
Yeah, the lane gank will be very, very strong with that Dark Passage available, but Tristana and Nami backing off here. No Dragon pressure still at the 10
the hook
minutes
coming
mark.
through. They're going to try and make it happen. Flay in there as well. The box activated. Good tidal wave and flash there. Buster shot as well. Leaves only Booping as the one in there. And that gank was shot down, but they're going to come through anyway. The Lantern runs in. Agony's Embrace not quite in range there, unfortunately. And Tristana just turns around and splashes a little bit of water there onto that Thresh with Tycaller's Blessing. And very, very nice use. They just engaged. Now the top lane, it comes through. Slicing Maelstrom in there. And Noname's in there as well. Dombox nowhere to run. Gets kicked out there by Lee Sin for a little bit of extra damage. And Dreams there walking away from that one cleanly with a nice tower. I've got to pressure the top turret here as well. Looks like LMQ might be able to pick this one up here. And again, Lee Sin, he was very patient there for that one, but it was worth the wait in the end.
Absolutely, and just massive Dragon pressure opened up here. But EPHK are the ones that are going to try and pick it up here, Patient Time. A little bit risky, but no response from Purple Team yet.
Kind of need to. No Lee Sins towards the top. The bottom lane's probably backed off to go spend some of that fresh money as well. And right now, EPHK going to be happy to pick this global gold up. Very, very, very crucial here to make sure. They're 2,000 gold behind now. Oh, goodness, Kane going to get bubbled up in there as well. The Evan Floyd coming through, looking for the 3v2 Avenger. Grabbed up in there. The Dravenot coming through as well, and Death comes out. Rocket Jump Flash for Avenger. Plus the barrier burns everything to get out alive, but does in fact keep her life there. And Tristana, always a little slippery there. Again, a great dragon there for EPHK. Probably a little frustrated they've had so many attempts down the bottom lane, can't quite get them worked out. But every time LFQ had the answer, and that's really one of the strengths of Nami. Is Dreams here going to rotate down as well. A slow there, not quite enough. There's a Shuriken's actually going to miss there, but Tycho's blessings enough for the slow there on that cannon. Uncle just missing, and Shen's going to come in booping very low there, but Shen will find the taunt into the tower for Avenger, though, who is going to go down there. Domok's going to pick up credit there for that kill. Looks like Dream's going to lightning rush out of the way. Looks like Lee Sin coming down here as well to maybe try and make something happen, but EPHK back off LMQ. No more kills for them, and a 1-for-1 trade down the bottom lane.
That was so close to being a perfect move from LMQ there, as the Shen ultimate just got through. They almost DPS down Thresh without that ability being able to complete. It did, and made it a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, Dreams, they're going to get aggressive down the bottom lane as well, just try and make something happen, but LMQ going to turn this into a push. Only Shen to defend off here. I can spot Xiao Wei Zhao, they're just up ahead, looking to make things happen. Dreams, they're going to take a tower hit. Lee Sin going to make it happen as well. 4-for-1 tower dive down here. Domok, nowhere to run there, gets prisoned up, and then the bubble on top of him as well, and nowhere to go there for that one. Ari going to come through. The tower going to take quite a bit of damage here down in the bottom lane. Looks like it is going to go down here as well. Just like a few more auto attacks going to come through. That will clean that one up for them. A 2-0 lead now for LMQ in terms of towers, not to mention 5-for-1 in kills as well. So, I mean, that least impression starting something off here. EPHK behind once again.
I feel this game, much like the last game we saw from EPHK, the one thing that they're really struggling in terms of this high-level competitive play is map movement. I mean, last game, it goes without being saying when they swapped a outer bot turret for 3 turrets and an inhibitor in the mid lane. That was a massive transgression, but even this game, the earlier turret dive, then more turret, they're just never really in the smart positions to be able to pick up trade kills. They're the ones that always seem to be on the receiving end of those 1-for-4 ganks. And
LMQ really just making it work here. Again, I mean, that is probably the best way to describe the difference. The movement here been fantastic for Lee Sin. They've taken the top tower, they've taken the bottom. Tristana, interestingly enough, actually taking the empty lane farm up in the top lane currently. So clearly just Avenger picking up that free from, working towards that Blade of the Ruin King. It's going to be finished very, very soon here, which is nice. Kane actually picking up a BF sword here. He's going to be looking for a bit more upfront attack damage item here. Doesn't want that Blade of the Ruin King, which I think is smart. The lane hasn't gone too well there. Tristana actually about 10 CS ahead there between the two laners in there for that one. And yeah, just going to hang out and maybe build something that will push the mid-game a little harder once they get to those team fights.
Ari's really close to the early DFG, which is good part time, about 40 minutes. That will open her up as a potential split push dueler to be able to maybe answer this Tristana split push, that she should be able to. A really nice adaptation. LMQ just looked fantastic this game. Picking up the 3rd turret here is going to open up so much map pressure for them here. Looking at the items here, I mean, no big items completed apart from the Abyssal Scepter and Cannon, which of course really synergizes nicely with Ryze, as we see LP trying to sniff around for a gank. They just need to get some picks with this Ari page time, because Ari's the only one here who hasn't been held down. CS very well, has that DFG, definitely has skirmish potential, but to win a skirmish or to even pick a good situation, oh, as Ryze is instantly burst down. There's Zhao Wei Zhao
coming through, the damage in there as well, and oh my goodness, explosions there. Kane gonna pick that one up there, and that's good for Draven. He needs that kill, try and boost himself forward there and get a little bit more work done here. So EPHK happy to get their 2nd kill of the game now on the board. Going to look to turn this into a little bit of push now as well, as the mid turret's going to take a little bit of damage for LMQ, of course, ready to defend it. And as you said, Papa, exactly what EPHK need. They've got some decent CC to pick it up, but Lissy coming deep there, kicks Draven now. Maybe not who he wanted, the cannon coming through. Flash slashing Maelstrom, Tidal Wave going to come out now as well, but Dreams gets exhausted up there. A good grab mid-air there onto Avenger, picks up Kane, and LMQ, everything is going wrong all of a sudden. 4 kills now on the board for EPHK, picking up another 2 in quick succession there. Probably going to turn around for this mid turret here as well. And that was some very, very nice presence of mind there from EPHK. That grab was unbelievable from Booping.
And Booping making sure that win, lose or draw, going to hit the highlight reel with a fantastic mid-air pull on that Tristana.
I mean, it's one of those things where you use your gap closer, you always assume you're untargetable. That is not usually the case, and certainly not the case
Only
there for
for
rocket
the first,
jump.
I believe, 0.25 seconds of the animation. So you can, much like Ezreal can Arcane Shift, you can rocket jump out of a Blitzcrank Gab, for example. But when you're in the middle of the movement, you are targetable.
Yes, you are indeed. And booping there with a very stylish hook is going to make a couple of kills happen there. EPHK going to even the gold back up. Still a little bit behind here, about 1,600 or so in the hole for them.
But the CS values are very healthy, Page Time. It's only the global gold at this point, thanks to the dragon they picked up before. It's only the 2 turrets that really they're struggling with.
And Dragon is back up now as well. EPHK going to try to look to make this one happen. Vision Ward thrown down there as well. They'll clean out the Sight Ward that was hanging out there and now get onto Dragon here. Cannon coming down, nowhere to be seen for this one. Doesn't even have his ultimate if he was in the area, and that's a very quick Dragon there for Energy Pacemaker, and that's really what they need to keep doing to keep themselves in this game. The gold lead now still hanging around the 1,500 area, but honestly at this point, 17 minutes or so, not too bad for this team.
It's just a massive shift in momentum because it felt like the inevitable LMQ win was coming just because they were pressuring all objectives. They had all the other turrets. They had everything in their hands. Suddenly one team fight, one grab, you could say, won a skirmish and a dragon. And now, what, there's 1,000 gold in the game.
Bit of aggression there from Avenger, looking to go onto Domox, but Shen pretty tanky right now. Cloth Armor plus Sunfire Cape shrugs off most of that damage, although Blood of the Ruined King is finished up on Tristana now as well. He's actually got a longsword, interestingly enough. Might be building another Vampiric Scepter. That seems crazy.
Could be a Last Whisper at some point.
Could be a Last Whisper. Don't often see Blade of the Ruined King Last Whisper, but it is a thing. I mean, that certainly could be what gets picked up here by Triss, so we'll have to wait and see here, but would be an interesting item choice to say the least here. Definitely would have expected something like Infinity Edge follow up this Blade of the Ruined King here for Triss, but as we have it instead, LMQ with an Oracle is going to move themselves through the enemy jungle here, ward up nice and aggressively, and this is a good spot for them, especially now that they're pressuring the lane that Shen is in. They can try and shut down some of that split push potential and really just put some pressure out on the map.
Bloodthirst to Last Whistle probably going to be the pickup. We'll see more turret, but a very smart ward coming out there from Shen.
Yep, they're going to clear that one out as well, but Ryze was hanging out in the open there, unfortunately, so they're going to just move in as 5 now to try and clear out the tier 2 turret, but Dominic's going to look for the taunt, finds it onto Dreams, the damage through there for Whirling Death, defensive ult there from Cannon, but Ari's trying to chase it down as he just misses the last abilities there. Charm though will hit DFG in there as well, Spirit Rush last tick gets used in there as well, but the rest of LMQ too far out of the way there and no real way to follow up, unfortunately. Ari had basically used all her gap closes there, so EPHK not in position to follow up there, unfortunately. A good defense of their tier 2 turret down the bottom lane, but they're just going to have to walk away here for this one. I think LMQ are happy to get away with no one dying there.
I think so too. I mean, EPHK, they don't have the initiation potential in an open lane. They kind of need the Evelynn with Shen ultimate approaching from the side and maybe catching LMQ off guard. But in a 5v5 situation, apart from a lucky Threshold, quite difficult engage for EPHK.
Could be an Ari Charm in there as well. You could see Supercat trying to get in range with the Spirit Rush to pick somebody off, but you're right, it's kind of very single target or almost surprise factor initiation. Not
exactly. In a jungle fight, in a pickoff situation, super effective, but in an open lane situation, much harder to get that kind of linear engage off.
And really, I think what we want to be seeing here from Domhox is getting into that lane as Shen and just trying to do the split push, because I think intelligently LMQ seem to be following Shen around the map. In fact, Domhox right now hanging out in the mid lane, just clearing out minions where he can, but I think if Shen gets to a point where he can comfortably push against someone, and I think at this point he's actually fairly even, wasn't too gold stuffed, although he's actually very far behind Cannon on gold, so I may have spoke too soon, but if they can get into a position where Domhox can do that and really put the pressure on, then I think they're in a really good spot as a 4v4.
Draven trying to finish the Last Whisper here just to maximize the Q damage here. His Q will be hitting super hard without any critical strike.
And, you know, this is something we don't see too often, but I do like this build coming out from Kane here. We've got the Bloodthirster, we've got Last Whisper already finished up now as well. So that's nice and quick there for that one. Very curious to see what Tristana is going to build. All the lifesteal would be kind of amusing to me, seeing Blade of the Ruined King plus Bloodthirster, but I guess we'll see.
It's been done before in situations where, you know, consistent damage output is enough to keep you alive if DPSing. If you assume that you're going to be taking DPS but be able to freely DPS, i.e. not be CC'd, it's not the weakest choice, but it's certainly not conventional.
No, so we'll see what Avenger does go to here. Just kind of CSing down the bottom. Again, LMQ, we're going to try and set something up here. No one's really interested in Baron at this point here as we tick just to the 21-minute mark there. Still a couple minutes left on that one before it's definitely a threat that people want to be on the lookout for. And really at this point, EPHK have kind of slowed down a lot of the momentum LMQ had. And really LMQ just looking for a bit more space in here. They tried to take out the tier 2 in the bottom lane. Well, unsuccessful there with that one with some nice defense from EPHK. And we've not quite done it, but it feels like we've pretty much reset this game here. Because, you know, it's what, 500 gold between the two teams now?
After losing a skirmish and dragon and then trying a push and kind of being repelled there, it almost feels like LMQ kind of just looking for a clear call, trying to reevaluate where their comp's strong and what they do well, and not try and force anything, whereas they were very much in the force mentality after taking down those 3 early turrets.
Yeah, looking good with some early aggression. Things have slowed down a little here in this game too here in Tencent LPL Summer, so we'll see what's going to happen now. Dreams looking good. Zhonya's plus Abyssal Scepter they finished up for Kennen. We've got Aegis they finished up for Lee Sin as well. He's got his Sightstone in his back pocket as well, just to kind of even things out. Rise looking good here. A lot of Aegis, Glacial Shroud plus Tear of the Goddess. We've got Bork. We've got, I think, Bloodthirster coming there as Longsword plus BF Sword is the pick up here for Tristana. And Nami with a Sightstone plus a Philo. Not too bad there. Whereas the items on the other side still also looking pretty good for EPHK.
And the BF Sword pickup's the next one from Tristana, so very ambiguous pastry time. It could
be Dreams, wrong place, wrong time there for that one. Taunt's in there as well. Dreams, hey, wow, that's everyone there in the kitchen sink, but Dreams still alive. Spirit Rush, they're going to finish him up. A great shot is not quite enough. Does go down there as Laupi picks him up, and the Tidal Wave thrown in there as well to try and make it happen. Super Cat very, very low there, but not going to go down there, and that was literally everyone to kill Kennen there. We had Shen moving with his ultimate. We had everything else happening there as well, but not enough there, unfortunately. I think Domhawk's... I don't think his ult got cancelled. I thought Tristana might have done it, but Avengers down the bottom lane picks up the tier 2 turret there, so not too bad there for LMQ. And Dreams, I think he's okay with that trade there. His life for a turret seems okay in his eyes. Uh-oh, fail jump there from Avenger. That's bad news. Laupi coming around as well. As the damage going to come in. The taunt coming through there as well into Avenger, and that should be a killer. Flash out there from Triss. A buster shot in there as well, but a flash forward there from Kane for the last hit the barrier. Not quite enough there as the last auto comes in. And of course, Draven is showered with gold in celebration of his kill. And Avenger there, that
348 hurts. Bonus gold coming out there, so very, very happy with Draven.
Bonus money, always nice there. I mean, that's one of the nice things about Draven. You play him, you kill somebody, and they explode in coins. Kind of like playing Mario Brothers. It's good stuff. And the Dragon as well, speaking of exploding with Godly Sid, looks for it, but no name, not going to find it there. Just pain for him. Safeguards out, they ward over the top, but no one there to follow up there. Draven not an auto attack range, and no gap closes or flashes available, it seems like. Nope, none at all for EPHK to follow up on that Lee Sin. So very sneaky there from No Name. Almost picks up the Dragon Steel, and most importantly gets out with his life when it's unsuccessful though. So nice for him. No Name again just kind of baiting him in the wardrobe coming through. Forced a flash though as the hook comes in. That was good positioning there from Booping, but not enough to pick it off there for EPHK. And all of a sudden this game's gotten real funky. EPHK actually ahead now on gold by a few hundred despite being 3 towers down still.
Just some really strong skirmish play coming out and just some over-aggression from LMQ, but the objectives don't lie. 4 turrets to 1 is a massive advantage for LMQ, even if the gold doesn't show it there. And even if they can win fights, EPHK haven't shown that they've been able to turn those fights into objectives just yet.
And that really is the key thing. Whenever you get a kill, you need to make something else happen when someone's missing from the map. Right now, Avenger looks like Infinity Edge is going to be the next one there. So the Longsword, I guess we'll have to wait for another day. It's probably going to be the eventual Last Whisper here, but I do like this from Avenger. Just going to keep it simple here and go for that Infinity Edge for maximum damage output on Trist.
Abyssal Scepter coming out from Ari here. No other big items coming out yet on the EPHK side. They haven't translated their advantage into massive item purchases, but you can see some big items underway.
I find the extra BF sword there for Draven quite interesting, because clearly not valuing too much attack speed right now. Just looking through there, has a pretty average attack speed there, just over 1 a second right now. Just from, base stats and all that stuff. But
I mean, your Qs are effectively like bonus autos, right? They do bonus attack damage, and they're very, very, if you can juggle 2, attack speed's actually almost a luxury on Draven in many situations. So Infinity Edge here is a 3rd item. Actually pretty common.
Oh, the damage in there as well. Standing United plus Agony's Embrace Shower. Zhao going to get taken out by Super Cat. Good dodge there. The bubble from Ari, but kicked, out of the way. Too many reposition abilities here in this game. No Name kicks Super Cat out of the way there as Ebb and Flow is going to just poke Shen off there saying, hey, get out of my way. I don't want you taking out my team. Kennen here as well, potentially ready for the ultimate, but I think Dreams is waiting for the rest of his team to come around. A taunt though hits at max range. Bad news there. A stand aside comes through as well. Slicing Maelstrom. Zhonya's though as good as the dive comes through, but the damage still in there. Kane again picks up the shower of gold there on Draven. happy to collect that one in there as well. And all of a sudden, EPHK really just looking a little better, making some nice moves here around the map. Going to take out this tier 2 turret in here as well. 3 for 4 now in turrets. Looks a lot better here after we were down 4-1 there for that one. And again, now still ahead in gold. We were slightly ahead before. Have crept themselves up by quite a few thousand gold in a short order here. I mean, the lead not too big between these two teams, and this game certainly could go anyone's way still. But all of a sudden, EPHK from a little kind of a shaky early game, looking really, really good here as we kind of move through the mid game.
And just restating how important damage is to the Draven here. He is at as the second Bloodthirster.
Oh
that wasn't actually the focus I was going to mention the fact that he's maxed the stand aside second just to have a bit more pick potential, a bit more upfront burst compared to the attack speed from his W ability. But you're 2 Bloodthirsters. This is a situation where his damage will melt your face off, and if you ever try and damage trade like a Ryze versus Draven matchup, so much lifesteal, you might actually be able to 1v1 that very, very tanky Ryze.
I think against Ryze specifically, that's actually a really nice adaptation. I mean, this is pretty funky here from Kane. It's not every day we see a double Bloodthirster
Finally,
anyone.
we're seeing the power of that 3.10 Draven, as we are seeing the adoration stacks mount into something with the 4 kills.
It's true. Super Cat there, going to Spirit Rush through. I think had a Spirit Ult Charge, although maybe not. Maybe just saw an initiation. It was like, never mind. There's no one here. But yeah, I look cool by going through a gap in the wall. It's nice. Evelyn, I think, wanting to set things up. No, just moving through here. EPHK with the Oracles. Now got to clean out some of the wards here in this side of the
And it's something totally different for EPHK, because they haven't been, in 8 games, there's been maybe one time where they were kind of in with a slight advantage at mid-game. They've really been struggling in most of their games. So do they know how to close out a game? Because as we see in every scene, whichever LCS, even in the OGN, new teams can sometimes really struggle to work out how to translate a mid-game advantage into a game win.
Yeah. Hook there on Dreams as well. Again, Booping going to look to clear out some wards here. Lightning Rush out there from Cannon. I mean, LMQ looked surprisingly up against the wall here in this one. Trist has finished Infinity Edge now as well, as that tower's going to fall. So 4 for 4 now in turrets. Finally evening that metric up for Energy Pacemaker. They'll be happy with that one. I mean, Trist moving in could potentially start a fight now that Infinity Edge has been finished up here, but
360 attack damage on Draven.
That's quite a lot of attack damage. I mean, not every day. Double Bloodthirst is pretty special, but definitely can see it here on Draven. And
if he ever drops an axe or is forced to drop an axe during a team fight, the axe cooldown has a huge window where his DPS will go down massively.
That's true, but if he can keep it up, then oh my goodness, the damage.
Yes.
So much damage. And, you know, it doesn't get better, unfortunately. He's actually got a non-magic mantle hanging out. I don't think he just needed a bit of extra magic resist. He may build something funky here as a hook coming
Guardian
through.
Angel, perhaps?
Yep, Guardian Angel would make a lot of sense. So that's probably what we're going to be seeing here from Draven, which I definitely like on the heavy lifesteal, all AD kind of.
Exactly, you come back with 750 health, but if you can get some free autos in there with the 40% lifesteal or so, he's going to be rocking. He's going to be very happy.
Yep, we could even see something funky. I don't think we'll see Spirit Visage, as fun as that would be.
Or Wit's End.
Oh, Wit's End. Wit's End is great. I think we'll see that.
Not on an 80 carry.
No, not like the Hurricane game we had with Twitch. That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, we did see Hurricane sort of the Divine, so
anything is possible.
You know, we've seen all the items based time. No Wit's End just yet in the LPL this weekend.
Hopefully. Well, there's plenty of LPL left, and of course, 2 games left today. So we'll see what happens. But right now, LMQ stuck in a little bit of a rut here. It really feels like ever since that one team fight went wrong, they've just all the wind got knocked out of their sails here. I mean, No Name was making.
They got caught in a team fight, then they tried to force an objective, and both those decisions didn't work out. And since then, EPHK have really been on top. We're seeing the Shen split push come in here. He only has the Sunfire, hasn't gone for any more DPS here, but very, very tanky man is Shen.
I was going to say, Domhawk's doing work there on the top lane, looking for the split push. Our front runner for the Wit's End for this game as well is Shen, so we'll see if Domhawk wants to pick it up. But, I mean, this is really a position that LMQ didn't want to be in against Shen, as Dragon goes down once again.
Now they're revealing themselves here, so there is potentially Baron pressure coming out, as we see at least in starting on the Baron.
Yep, immediately runs out for LMQ. They know exactly what they need to do in this game. It's a little desperate here, but Domhawk's really the only one that can defend it right now. The damage coming through. Ryze ultimate gets activated. They're really throwing everything at Baron Nashor right now, but a taunt that gets him 3 to the tidal wave coming through as well. Baron's very low here, the damage coming in, but Lee Sin's already down. The smite now down in there as well as Domhawk looks to use his ultimate, but everyone's peeled off. Tristana over the top as Avengers force the rocket jump out of the way, and that's going to be bad news there. Super Cat's going to charge in on Ari and clean it up in. Now Baron's getting turned on, still not a whole lot of health, and Draven's going to clean that one up there. A complete rout on that team fight there for EPHK. Plenty of time to respond there, and for their trouble, they get a 4-0 team fight win, not to mention Baron buff in there as well.
They just needed a second Baron DPS here. Obviously, by the Rune King, Infinity Edge, Tristana, good at Baron, but they didn't have the second Baron DPS there. Even with Rise really trying to double down and take it down, they didn't have the speed, and they paid for it.
Yeah, Energy Pacemaker on pace now to potentially win their first game in the Summer LPL. I mean, a little while to go now, but looking good so far. They take out the middle inhibitor turret, take out the inhibitor there as well.
Some smart play, Patience. I mean, they've been very good. They had the oracles down for Thresh for the last 3-4 minutes, denying vision, getting advanced vision. There's very aggressive blue wards down. They do seem to know how to play when they're ahead.
And I was going to say, I think the most important thing here for EP is, not that they might take their first win. Of course, that would be great for them. I'd love to kind of get that off their shoulders and be like, okay, no, we can win games here. Give them a little bit of a boost coming through, moving into next week, of course, and then through the rest of the LPL. But if they can show that when they get ahead, they are capable of winning, then that shows a lot, not just to LMQ, of course, who they're playing against, but to all the other teams saying, like, oh, we actually have to treat these guys seriously, because if we ever do get in an awful position against them, they do know how to close out a game against us.
Absolutely. It's a lot of good things coming together for EPHK. They haven't managed it in 8 games, but they're looking wonderfully strong here. Not quite a 10k gold lead. Definitely not riding off LMQ yet, but looking on pace here, EPHK, for their first win.
They are indeed. Draven now finished up a Guardian Angel, so is ready to go. I mean, your predictions about the item were correct. That's what is picked up here, but this is, I don't even know, some sort of artillery weapon, it seems like. He just stands in one place, catches his axes, and damage comes out.
It's almost like a catching axes build, Pastry Time, because I'm going to sacrifice my positioning. Like, I just want to focus on catching axes and DPSing, because I've got 2 lives, and I've got a massive amount of lifesteal.
And really, is Draven? That's not an awful plan, given A, how much damage Spinning Axe does, and B, just how much you have to get done to actually micro back and forth and catch those axes in a teamfight setting. In this case, it's like, I don't want to worry about any of that. I'm just going to just stand here and you're going to take it.
I don't need tanks, I don't need positioning, I'm just going to catch my axes.
Exactly, that's all he needs to do. And, if he completes the minigame of catching axes, thankfully everybody dies. Which would, of course, be great news for Energy Pacemaker. He's still looking to pick up their first win in the LPL Summer. We'll see if they can do it. Certainly on point to do it here, potentially, but need a little more here in this one. Now going to look for this tower. The shield comes through. There's booping. Going to do a little bit of the old face teching here. The Draven AD damage, though. Lots and lots of damage coming out there from Kane. And they'll take out that fairly low turret down towards the bottom lane. Mid inhibitor down in there as well. So EPHK, plenty of room to maneuver here, and with the Baron buff, not to forget their Cupto coming out onto No Name. The Charm follows up in there as well, but they don't quite want to go in there. Oh my goodness, No Name. He got so chunked there by that one Spinning Axe, and he's supposed to be the tanky one.
Luckily he has home guards who can come to this fast. They can't afford to lose another inhibitor turret here.
No, they can't, and Draven just going to continue to catch his axe here, clean out the minion wave, and we'll go once again. They're getting jumped on as well. A great reaction there, but a good Zhonya's ult there from Jing. Now Booping caught in the middle, manages to box though, actually gets Shen ulted there as the Stand United comes through, and No Name blown up by Draven as he dives into the back of the fight. Now EPHK coming through, a Randy was activated there as well, just to try and slow everything down there from Shen, but EPHK, they're going to get the second inhibitor that they wanted, possibly going to clean out some Nexus turrets here as well, and just too far behind here for LMQ, it feels like.
They just don't have any answer to this Draven, Pastry Time. I mean, even Rai, a champion who, at this late game, has that balance between tankiness and damage output, he just can't trade with a Draven. There's no situation where he can 1v1 Draven, just because of all the lifesteal. So, I don't know if he came into this game expecting to go a double Bloodthirster build, but it's almost a stroke of genius from Kane.
Yeah, maybe 15-20 minutes ago, we were, oh, look how funny this is, building double Bloodthirster. And now it's like, actually, this seems really good, especially with the 4th item being Guardian Angel in here as well. So, kind of funky coming out from Kane, but I mean, I think if Energy Pacemaker do win this game, I think a lot of that credit has to go to Kane for this build.
And he basically lost lane as Draven against Tristana. He definitely gave up the first 2 kills. It was looking panic stations at, 10 minutes into this game. But such a massive turnaround just from one miracle grab. So, I mean, Booping, his work here cannot be understated.
Absolutely not. The EPHK have really made a mountain out of a molehill here with this game. Just looking very, very strong here with a very big 10k plus gold lead now in this one. I mean, still a bit more of the game to go here. LMQ going to try and defend, but 2 inhibitors down is never good news for any team. Baron buff has worn off at this point. So that's good news, at least for LMQ.
My worry though, Pastry Time, what does a team fight that LMQ wins look like? How is that Draven dead with Guardian Angel and a Shen on the team?
I feel like he'll have to stand in their Fountain. That's probably how it happens, because Fountain beats Guardian Angel.
Fair enough.
That might be it. I mean, if they can Lee Sin kick him all the way back in, then maybe they can get it done.
I mean, EP are a new team, right? So that's just a very likely outcome.
Yes, clearly. If only it was released Lee Sin, that guy could kick people into fountains. I remember that video, it was fantastic. Shout, if anybody get that reference, by the way, props to you. But it looks like instead we're going to have Lee Sin. He's going to try and do something here. They know what they need to do, but so much damage to Revenge getting blown up there by Supercat. The tidal wave, though, not enough. The Dream's looking for the ultimate, but it's just damage everywhere as Kane's still caught under the tower. Force a flash out of the way. Still got GA, though, as well. They're going to chunk down that cannon. That's Dream taking very, very low here. Draven going to tank it up there, but the tower falls down to keep him alive. And EPHK, I think they've broken through here. 4 for 2 there in that team fight, but Big Draven's still alive here. Shao, not enough here. Draven's going to clean him up after that taunt as well. He's going to try and get the kill onto Lampi, but Stand United's going to deny him. And with style, Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong going to get their first win here in the LPL Summer up against LMQ.
You can't understate just how well they played Page Jam. They knew how to play when they were ahead, and we didn't really have a window into that. It took 9 matches, but on the 9th win, Energy Pacemaker has shown here that they've come to play in this Tencent LoL Pro League, and there's no reason they can't have a renaissance in the second half of this season, much like, I mean, the Copenhagen Wolves, who did so well in the EU LCS last season. So GG well played to them. A wonderful character to come back from what was looking like they were going to be starved out of another game, their map vision was looking a bit wonky. It looked like it was going to be an easy LMQ victory, but GG well played to Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong.
Yep, a nice first win there for EP up against LMQ, and still games to come here, of course. If you'd like to catch this or any of the games you've missed, please head over to youtube.com/LOLChamp series. You can check those out here. We'll continue coverage here. Tencent LPL Summer, coming right back.